Hello everybody, Sam from No Living Witness. I've had enough people ask us about our in-ear setup and our rig that I thought I'd make a short educational video on how we use it, and hopefully it can help you implement your own. The first big thing to have with a in-ear setup is, of course, in-ear monitors. Our in-ear monitors are provided by Phenyx Pro, and we use the Phenyx Pro PTM10. It's a one-channel wireless in-ear monitor system. So each person gets their own set, their own receiver, and their own transmitter. Each in-ear transmitter is a stereo input. Since our digital mixer only has a certain number of outputs, we each share a mix. So it's stereo sound. I share my mix with Brian, our other guitarist. Makes sense because we both play guitars. LJ shares a mix with our bassist Cameron, and Devin has his own stereo mix. He's the tank driver of the band, so he gets the best sound. My knees hurt. I'm going to switch a lot, and it's going to be awkward and weird. And then next is our digital mixer. Our digital mixer is a Souncraft UI16. That means it has 12 inputs, 4 auxiliary outputs, and 2 left and right main outs. We use the 4 auxiliary outputs to go to me and Brian and LJ and Cameron, and the stereo mix goes to Devin. If you wanted to use this as a mixer for an actual show, you could, and your left and right would go out to your main speakers, but that's not how we use them because there are sound engineers at every show, so why bother? Next we have the M-Audio FastTrack Ultra 8R. It is old and discontinued, but it was cheap and it works incredibly well. There are 8 inputs and there are 8 outputs. The outputs are incredibly helpful for what we do. Next we have our Behringer MS8000. It is an XLR splitter. So every XLR signal gets split into 2 signals. We have a Furman power conditioner, pretty basic. My guitarist Brian plays his guitar through an Axe FX Ultra. Our Rockville RPA5 power amp. That's what me and Brian's signals go through to go into our cabs on stage. So first, when we get to a show and we play, we plug in. First thing we do is vocals. We have LJ's vocals that go into our mic splitter, my vocals that go into the mic splitter, and a third mic to go into the mic splitter. And then we have my guitar that goes into the mic splitter. Now that I've shown you all the hardware, next is software, which is very important to our setup. We use Reaper, just like most musicians. I am still evaluating. So we have the first channel is my channel. That's where my guitar plugs into. First off, my guitar plugs in directly into our interface, which is the M-Audio FastTrack Ultra 8R. It goes into channel 1. And from there, I process my guitar tone through Joey Sturgis Tones, and I use the Toneforge Jeff Loomis edition. It is awesome. It sounds really good. Really sick leads, really good cleans. So one channel is strictly just for processing my guitar. Then the second channel is a MIDI track that controls switching the channels in Joey Sturgis Tones from gain to lead to an ultra lead channel, which has a bunch of ambience and extra reverb and delay than a normal lead channel. Third track is Brian's MIDI changing channel, and those MIDI changes go straight to the Axe FX so he can change his MIDI channels. He has a gain, a lead, a clean, and an ultra clean that has ambience. We like ambience here. We have a click track that goes straight out of the interface in the back, and it goes straight into our digital mixer. It does not go to the front of house. It does not go to the sound engineer because they don't need to hear the click tracks we do. And then we have 3 synth channels. They all go to the same spot, out of the interface into our mic splitter. And then we have guitar harmonies, which is just like a little bit of subtle things. It's not like a full track. It's just embellishments on like leads and stuff like that. Then we have a big snare, which is like one of those kind of explosion things. And then we have a bass drop or an 808, so people know when we're doing heavy things. And we also have a vocal reference track for if we have any singing parts. It's kind of like a key to assist our singer on stage. Okay, knees are killing me. I am old. Our digital mixer is on, and it transmits a Wi-Fi signal, and that's how you connect your computer to it. You can also connect your phones to it, so everyone on stage, if they really needed to, can control their own mix. I haven't quite figured out how to use that. Whenever I open it on my phone, all I can see is one slider, but I also haven't spent a lot of time on it because we just do everything on here. So I'm going to connect to the Souncraft, and it will automatically open up the digital mixer screen. Ah! So you can pick whether you're doing it on a phone or a tablet, larger screen. We have a laptop, so we're using that. And there is our digital mixer. Super cool. So we set the gain not too high on all the channels, so that way, once we've set the outputs to our ears, everything has a really good volume. We're not sitting on stage saying, I can't hear it, I can't hear it. So these are our auxiliary sends. I got Brian on the left. Sam. Sounds like my cat just fucked something up. Let me check on that really quick. What are you doing? My God, dude. So here are our personal mixes. Personal mix is divided. So my mix is shared with Brian, my other guitarist. So in our ears, I have me in my right ear and Brian in my left ear. Same as him. It's mostly guitars at an even level and a good amount of click, so we stay on time, and a little bit of everything else. We monitor our kick and samples, a little bit of vocals. There's vocal monitoring for me, but I don't really need it because I just do backups and I'm not terribly concerned about it. And then Cameron and LJ share theirs. It's a good amount of click. That's mostly for my vocalist because he's screaming. Good amount of bass, and a little bit of everything else. Devin's main output channel is linked, so it is a stereo output. It's a good amount of kick, good amount of click, and a good amount of left and right guitar, a little bit of bass, a little bit of vocals, a little bit of samples. It's mostly the key things that keep them on time. Our in-ear monitors are wireless. We had it, so when we were playing with shows with Cameron, he did not have a wireless system, but we're going to get him his own pack just because it's honestly a pain in the butt to have to drag cords over here and everything. So we plugged Cameron's in-ear monitoring line to the headphone jack out of the transmitter. And what we did to make the cords look a little bit nicer is we got this cable where you can wind a cord together as one cable just to save on space on stage. You unravel it and you just line it through it. It's pretty easy, really. And then we just had his input here in the interface, and we used to run him through a parallax, but he has since got his own bass rig, so we just go direct out from his bass rig into here. In our digital mix, they are labeled as LJ vocals, my vocals, vocals number 3, which is Cameron or Brian, and then we have bass guitar, kick drum, channel 6 is unused right now, and then we have my guitar, Brian's guitar, we have samples, then we have the click. Then there's the vocal reference track, that's only for LJ, so that's only going to be on LJ's track. I don't need to hear his vocal reference. So it's really great that we can each have our own mix where we don't have to worry about how everybody else sounds. And it's actually kind of nice because if somebody fucks up, we don't know about it. So we'll just keep on playing. Nobody's making stank faces at each other on stage, unless Devin, lets go of his stick and it hits me in the noggin. So the way that we have everything routed out of our interface goes into a splitter. Our click track does not go into a splitter. It goes straight into our digital mixer, so that way only we hear it. It doesn't go to the sound guy. All the synths go to the splitter. Out of the splitter, it goes 1 to the sound guy, 2 to our digital mixer. Our digital mixer is not an interface. This digital mixer does have an interface option, but only on the UI 24, which is a much bigger, way more inputs, more outputs. The guitar harmonies are routed the exact same way. They go out with the synth and the 808 and the big snare. What are you doing, cat? Stop. That's my guitar. My guitar track goes straight into here, is live monitored from my input here in Reaper, and it goes out the back of our interface into our mic splitter. From there, it goes to two places. One, it goes to our power amp, so it can go to the cabs. Two, goes into our digital mixer, so I can hear myself. Brian's is a different setup because his is hardware, not software. So he plugs in directly into his Axe-Fx, not the interface. And the Axe-Fx has multiple outputs. So we have one output that goes straight into the digital mixer, and then one output that goes straight into the power amp, and then goes to his cab. Vocals are the same way. They go into our splitter, from there to the sound guy. Two, it goes to our digital mixer. The digital mixer does have an option where you can record everything, which is cool, but that means it would also record the click track, and I don't ever want to hear that outside of performing, so we don't use it. The way our drummer sets his stuff up, he has his kit usually right here, and he has a Roland triggering system, just his kick, so he plugs his kick into there, and he has two outputs from there. One output goes right into here to direct monitoring, and the other output goes to the sound engineer. He does not have a wireless in-ear system. He has a quarter jack, so he hands me a cord, goes right here, and it goes straight into, he has a headphone preamp where he can control the volume in here. So this is my Phenyx Pro UHF body pack. I'm a body pack man. It has two AA batteries. And from here you can control a couple settings, like there's an EQ boost, gives it a little bit more highs. I don't like that because it's pretty tinny as is with, you know, cheaper headphones. And you can also, with the body pack, you can also control how much left and right you hear. I don't use it because I like a stereo sound. Volume control, and then a jack for your headphones to go in. And it has a nice little clip. Mine is taped on because it keeps falling off. I'm not too sure why. Maybe I didn't put it on right, because occasionally you can, you know, yank it off your body trying to get off stage or something like that, and all of a sudden the thing flies around. Cool part about the body packs is they're really easy to sync up to any transmitter. So since we're each sharing a transmitter, I can come up here and sync it to anyone. It's actually incredibly easy. Make sure the other ones you're not going to use are powered off, and you just hold it right next to the transmitter, and I think you hit one of these buttons and hold it down, and all of a sudden the light will flash and it'll show what transmitter it's on. So this channel operates on this frequency and this one matches up. It's pretty nice. This one is currently unused, which is quite silly. I turned it on because it looks pretty. The power amp for Brian and I was relatively inexpensive. It's by Rockville. We also have a Rockville PA mixer that we used for practice, so we can hear vocals and samples in the big speakers. Even though we have our in-ear monitors, we do, when we rehearse, like to hear an equivalent to a stage sound. That way it's not a dramatic change when we go play on stage and it sounds completely different. Because even though we have our in-ears, you can still hear things in the outside world, probably because they're cheaper and they're not form-fitting to our ears. The Rockville RPA 5, there is volume control on those, so you can set it very low or crank it. We have them cranked at all times because it's not the most powerful power amp, but that's fine because we're on stage and most of the time it's mic'd anyway, and they still carry pretty well. I'll show you what the back looks like now. Come on. This is the back of our rig. We put a light in there to help us out when we're at shows because those stages can be either super dark or really bright, so all the lights behind can make it really hard to see these dark areas, so we put the light in there. That's what the back of the transmitters look like for our wireless in-ear monitors. You can see each one has two inputs, and then we also routed new antenna. They're not up right now because we're in storage mode. These guys do pop out and look very fancy. We have our interface. This is here. The interface is USB.
and we have all of our outputs. Click track, guitar, synth, and vocal reference track. Since they all need to be individually manipulated in the mix, they all get their own track. This is the back of the mic splitter. Maybe a little bit hard to see, but it's not as important. But every input on the mic splitter has 2 outputs. So when we play a show, I open the rig and I hand the sound engineer these 4 outputs, 3 vocals and our backtracks. That has been my rig rundown for you. I hope you found it helpful and you could utilize it in the future. You can have a pretty old, low power, non-high performance laptop and still run this incredibly well. Running Reaper and backtracking things really does not take a lot of CPU power. If every single person in your band is running in here and you're running VSTs, effects, modeling software, then I'd probably assume you would need a better laptop, but right now this works really well for us. If you have any questions, hit us up, leave us a comment here, or go to our Facebook page, Instagram. Oh, and follow us on Spotify if you like progressive, techie death metal, for fans of like Fallujah and Inferi and Vervum, Abigail Williams. Have a good one. Be sure to follow us or whatever. Thanks.